hands in the air, make them stay there. College sports, big business. Football, basketball alone generate billions of dollars in revenue for the schools and for the National Collegiate Athletic Association, the NCAA. Who does not get paid? The athletes. That's why former college basketball standout Ed O'Bannon and several other former college athletes are suing the NCAA. They want players to get part of the billions earned from things like TV rights, memorabilia sales, and video games. O'Bannon says he and other players deserve a piece of the action.
You should be able to own your face. You should be able to own your likeness. I don't think that someone should be able to take your likeness and profit off of it without compensating you for it.
O'Bannon is applying for class action status but needs a current athlete to sign on. The NCAA says many college athletes receive scholarships in exchange for playing sports, and to pay students would ruin amateur athletics.
Sports economist Todd Jewell is here with us tonight. You are also the chair of the economy department at University of North Texas.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, initial thoughts. You think this is going to become a class action lawsuit?
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the hot seat right off the bat.
You're going to make me speculate
right
away. I would guess that it will be a class action lawsuit.
Okay.
But my guess is that the class that will be defined is going to be the class of past athletes,
not current student athletes.
Not past and current, and that's really the big point here, because if current student athletes get to be part of this class, then that means that any future student athlete is going to be part of the class too, and that means big money.
All right, well, but the NCAA already makes big money. I mean, when you look at it very simply, isn't there just enough to go around?
It depends on what you mean go around.
I mean, when you have a student athlete like Ed O'Bannon, former student athlete,
sure,
and he sees his image in these video games, the Avatar, that sort of thing, and he thinks, gosh, that is my image, those are my skills. Shouldn't I be entitled to some compensation? And you're shaking your head yes, so that means...
Absolutely. The problem is that this is compensation that the university uses for several things. One thing that they use it for is to support other sports on campus.
Well, there is a trickle down with the NCAA, because there's the volleyball and the golf and the sports that don't bring in the big money like men's basketball does. Well,
yeah. We refer to football and men's basketball as the revenue-producing sports. Women's basketball produces a little bit of revenue, but there's only a very, very small handful of teams that actually generate any revenue for women's basketball. So you think of all collegiate sports and all scholarships for collegiate athletes. That comes from, a lot of it comes from the revenue from football and men's basketball. So if you take a little bit of that money and you give it to all of the Ed O'Bannons of the world, then all of the women's soccer players of the world, all of the men's wrestling, swimming, these scholarships are going to be cut. Well,
you know, talking about, and not that you're giving the money away, but Mac Brown, let's see, I've pulled this, more than, what, $5 million. I mean, these coaches are making a lot of money off these student athletes.
Absolutely, and that's another place that some of this money is, quote unquote, siphoned off. Right. The money doesn't go to Ed O'Bannon. The money doesn't go to Johnny Football, right?
Right.
But it does go to that program, and it goes to build the program. And one of the things that we find is that as college revenue goes up, a lot of that actually does go to coaches' salaries. But, we can't forget that it's not all going to the coaches' salaries.
Sure. No, it's going to the universities and the other students and the scholarships that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So you brought up Johnny Football. Maybe he's found a way kind of around this to make some money by suing somebody who's using his name?
Yes. But as an amateur collegiate student athlete, he can't really get that money right now until he's no longer a collegiate athlete, because he cannot qualify to play NCAA football unless he is a quote-unquote amateur. There are rules in terms of how much money he can actually make, but it isn't very much. So in situations like that, he's going to have that money put into some sort of trust so that when he graduates, he will be able to get that money.
And listen, too, one thing is the education. It is supposed to be about the education.
I understand.
And we're talking money and, the fame and who's getting this and who's getting that, but these kids should be getting an education.
Well, and by and large, they are getting an education, because if you look at you look at averages of student athletes that graduate and regular students that graduate. They're pretty close. Okay, so that student athletes in general do a pretty good job of graduating. The education system does a pretty good job of educating student athletes. However, when you look at these revenue-producing sports, those students aren't really graduating. Again, it's the swimmers, it's the volleyball players, it's the tennis players. These students are actually graduating and going on and using their degrees.
The student athletes as opposed to the
athletes.
students.
And that's sort of college sports' dirty little secret is that they really want us to believe in the myth of the student athlete.
Well, that dirty little secret is out. We appreciate you sharing it with us, and we'll keep following the case. Thank you, Todd, for coming in.